Greetings, Poozers, to training camp! And that means reading as much Green Lantern as I can before Lanterns. Well, Lanterns has dropped today, and I'm just recounting on what happened, what I watched. Cool. Let's jump straight in. As a Batman fan, I spent years believing that the best superheroes operate from the shadows. Give me unresolved childhood trauma, a detective story, and a father with more adopted kids than he has fingers, and I'm home. So why exactly was I sitting down to read Green Lantern? Was I cheating on Gotham? Was I ready to embrace the green light? Or was I about to learn that the difference between Hal Jordan and Bruce Wayne is really just a matter of how you choose to deal with your unresolved issues? Therefore, I sat down and cracked open my first Green Lantern story. And you're wondering why we're on the floor. Well, we are re-shelving. So this is our temporary station, I'm sorry. And it's still very hot. Let me get my hair up and then we can delve into this. Let's cheer. Just for whatever. My first Green Lantern story, which I can remember so far, is Absolute Green Lantern Without Fear. As you can tell, not a very good idea. My expectations for the Absolute line are high. And Green Lantern left me whelmed. The story moves very slowly. Instead of a traditional space police opera, the series teeters on cosmic and religious horror, leaving the citizens of Evergreen at the hands of judgment. The core question of the Absolute universe is, who are you when you have none of your usual advantages, and the world itself is built to crush you? In addition, the core of your beloved characters stay the same. Yet, I had the disadvantage of not knowing who these people are, and that's my mistake. But I took it upon myself to fix it. I have to give Absolute Green Lantern another chance. I shall no more be a useless poozer and learn the way of the ring. While you were messing around doing niche, I was out there, making my moves, studying the blade. And that's where my journey starts, with another Joe Moline story. In Far Sector, Sojourner Joe Moline debuted in December 2019 as the first black queer woman to hold the Green Lantern mantle. The character was created by writer N.K. Jemisin and artist Jamal Campbell. The Guardian Nemosini, I hope I pronounced it right, worked off-grid and provided Joe with a special ring, which recharges on its own. Her assigned sector is so far from Oa, she believes it's not even numbered anymore. In a city enduring a usual peaceful metropolis, a murder is taking place. The first one in 500 years, after the council decided to shut off all emotion. In the 12th issue arc, she has to figure out who the murderer is, and also what it means to be a Green Lantern, as well as romantic relationships and politics. Intriguing, but it did lose me sometimes. No doubt, Jemisin is a great author, but here is something I don't say often. For a 12-issue story, it had too much meat on its bones, if that makes sense. The artwork by Jamal Campbell is captivating and really fits the story. It's just too tense for my taste, okay? It has a lot of exposition which fizzles out sometimes. Jo is a great character with a lot of charm, trying to find her footing in this crazy new world. The story also has a lot of Easter eggs and is really funny. There's just too much going on sometimes. I wish it had more time to simmer and heighten the suspense, because the murder mystery kind of gets lost somehow in there. But I really did enjoy the parts where she was doing the detective work. Maybe that's why I'm a Batman fan. I do recommend to read the story at least once. So, after a lengthy break of Green Lantern, I jumped in back with a movie. Well, movies. I think I made the right choice for me, chronologically, even if it doesn't really make sense for everyone else. Starting off with Green Lantern's Emerald Knights. Keep in mind, this movie came out on the 7th June 2011. The infamous live-action movie came out on the 15th June 2011, a bit more than a week apart. It also has no correlation to the comic book that came out in 1998. The movie is basically a flashback of origin stories until it reaches one big final fight. The Green Lantern Corps get ready to fight the antimatter entity called Chronon, and a new recruit, Arisia Robb, is nervous. Also, the movie is not connected to Green Lantern First Flight, where Hal Jordan's origin gets told, because there Aricia is already a Green Lantern while Hal is the rookie, so no correlation there. To calmer Hal, voiced by Nathan Fillion, by the way, who is Guy Gardner in Superman, decides it's time for a history lesson in the format of an animated anthology movie with a runtime of 84 minutes. It is pretty fun, and if you want a quick introduction to the Green Lanterns, this is your go-to. Then I watched First Flight, which is the Hal Jordan origin story. It was released on the 28th July 2009 with a runtime of 77 minutes. What I wrote down as my first thought were, Hal Jordan, you cocky son of a bitch, I like you. Fast-paced and bland, you're better off reading than watching, to be honest. Then what I wrote down for Green Lantern Beware My Power is, okay, well, you have to read this in the perspective of Hal. Okay, I mean, first of all, you. I mean, why would you want me to... Why would you want to deep throat me with a live animal while I nearly died and I'm naked in the middle of space? Kinda rude if you ask me. I have to agree. Whatever was going on in my mind back then, I agree. I think the movie was called Beware My Power because in Jon Stewart's debut, in issue 87, in December 1971/January 1972, created by writer Danny O'Neill and artist Neil Adams, he says the oath is corny, but what he can resonate with is the line, Beware my power. Green Lantern slides. In this movie, he's an ex-US Marine, which probably stems from the popular Justice League animated series. Originally, he was an architect. Now he's both. The movie released at San Diego Comic-Con 2022 on the 11th July, with a runtime of 84 minutes based on multiple storylines. After the apparent death of Hal Jordan, Jon Stewart is chosen to be the new Green Lantern of Earth. Hesitant at first, but then getting the support of other superheroes, he finally accepts his new role as Green Lantern. I really enjoyed this. I really had a fun time watching it, and I do recommend watching it. It's only 84 minutes at the end of the day. And the last movie I watched was the live action with Ryan Reynolds. Yay! I watched it as a kid a long time ago. I don't hate it. It's not that bad. Okay, like, is it heartless? Yes. Has it any kind of substance? No. But I still had a fun time watching it. I'm not a movie critic. I'm just a movie watcher. It's not as bad as everybody claims. It's a simple origin story, and it was supposed to build a new DC universe. Didn't happen. 2 years later, they rebooted it with Man of Steel, and now that is also not happening. So right now we're at James Gunn, and I think we're in safe hands at the moment. I really enjoy what he's putting out, and we're gonna get to Lanterns later, the first episode. Enough movies. Let's get back to comics. So while I was in the USA, I went to the Dollar Tree, and there I found $1.25 comics. There I picked out Green Lantern Corps and Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps. So basically, Beyonce and Destiny's Child. I think Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps is a nice new story arc. As I said before, I didn't read the one beforehand. So that's where I kind of went into the cold, but I think it's a really great start. Like Hal making a ring out of his, I can't speak, out of the manifestation of his willpower is crazy. I have to read more of that. And I gotta be honest, I'm just not really into the Green Lantern Corps as a group in general. I do like it when they're more on their own instead of a group. It was okay. Will I continue it? Probably not. The series ran for 63 issues. I'm not gonna do that to myself unless I have nothing else to read. But Saronic Natu, she's really cool, so maybe I'll go back for her. Now let's get to the good stuff. Green Lantern Rebirth. Where's my compendium? Holy moly! The 6-issue arc by J.F. Johns. Wow. This story arc takes place after Hal Jordan has been possessed by Parallax, who I for some reason always want to call syntax, like the structural arrangement and grammar rules of a sentence. Okay. But now the Spectre is also in him. Not in that way. Also, coming from a Batman fan, he is such an asshole! I really respect him for that. If you're not reading from his perspective, like, that dude sucks! Fuck! Am I the Guy Gardner of my friend group? I think we're the same person. I think it's a problem. I think I should get a bowl cut because every time he says something, I'm like, I just thought that right before that panel and that speech bubble. And I'm like, fuck. Okay, so Hal was possessed by Parallax because he, quote, lost it, unquote, after the Reign of Superman storyline and after the destruction of Coast City. I mean, who wouldn't, right? So he went on this killing rampage and basically destroyed the Lantern Corps. And that's also where the very iconic cover of issue 49 comes from with all the rings. And he's like smiling with all his teeth. He did some more BS as Parallax until Final Night. That's where he sacrificed himself and merged with the Spectre. If you never read a Green Lantern comic, this is gonna sound so insane. He has a very bad reputation and Batman is on his ass about it. But the brothers in light, Guy, Kyle, John Stewart, and, of course, Kilowog, all bond together and free him of the curse. Curse, Spectre, and Parallax, not syntax. So I explained this very, very simply because I think you should read it for yourself. Also, the friendship between Green Arrow and Green Lantern is very sweet. I do have to pick up Hard Traveling Heroes after this. It has a lot of great emotional driven character moments, and the overall arc really pushed me to read more, which was Green Lantern No Fear. First of all, very interesting panel layouts with art, and also kind of funny, like really funny sometimes. It really gives you a better look at how Hal ticks. And I mean, the two arcs are collected in the Rebirth Compendium. This is kind of like the Holy Bible. The Holy Bible for Green Lantern. So get it if you can. Of course, we have to road back to issue 87. Racism, knock it off. Bigotry, knock it off. And now that we're already talking about it, well, I'm gonna make it an issue. Next time I see someone or I hear someone say, comic books are too political now. Or they're too woke. Have you been living behind the moon? When have comic books not been political? When has literature not been about social commentary, not been about politics? Many of the best known superheroes were specifically created to be political symbols or social commentaries. Like, you can believe a man can fly, but you struggle at equal human rights? Okay. Back to issue 87. This is the debut of John Stewart. Also very obviously a direct commentary on racism and the civil rights movement. Obviously one of the standout moments were when John decides not to wear a mask. He says in a black man in a country rife with prejudice, he has nothing to hide. At the center of the plot, Stewart must, of all people, protect an openly racist and hypocritical politician who is appearing at a campaign rally. In the end, Stewart uncovers that the senator staged an assassination attempt on himself to spread fear, stoke racial tensions, and win votes. Very strong entry point for John Stewart. Then I also got around to Secret Origins. You have never flown with me? That's my Green Lantern! I love cocky characters that can actually back it up. I think it's also great if you want to look something up, but it is outdated a little bit by now, but still nice. Also, for funsies, I did a height comparison because they are in Secret Origins, so you can tell how freakish tall these people are. Well, except for the Guardians, but they're so cute sometimes. Like when they hold hands, oh my god. These are not people I want to get involved in a fight with. That's for sure. Then I went to the comic book store and I got issue 49, of course, the iconic cover. It's the second issue of the Parallax storyline. I do have to go back and read that. Now, I got bangers after bangers. My god. The Sinestro Corps Wars. Blackest Night. Earth 1. Sinestro Corps Wars. Everybody's still on Hal's ass. But there's a line that really stuck with me. One of the Lanterns says it and I wrote it down. I simply look at the past without pain or anger. New mantra, I must say. Sinestro emerges from exile in the antimatter universe with his own Lantern Corps, armed with rings, powered by the yellow light of fear. Because Hal almost ended the entire Green Lanterns, most of them are rookies, having to fight off this big bad new baddie. It's back to back, and we have two parallel storylines that come together in the end, but it's fantastic. Jesus Christ. Why didn't nobody tell me about this before? You're wrong as fuck for that. So rude. The story is also very well threaded into Blackest Night. One of the most shocking moments was definitely when the Guardians rewrote the rules that the Green Lanterns can kill now. Gasp. What? But of course, it was Sinestro's plan all along. Also, Sinestro is such a great antagonist. He has a personal vendetta against all of them, really, especially against Hal. And he's just straight up an asshole in general. Incredible work. If I loved it less, I could talk about it more. Blackest Night. So much going on. It's a super big overarching event. It was really cool to see all the Lanterns team up, and also, of course, doubling the ring and giving it to somebody else. That was really interesting to see who got it. Also, if Blackest Night would happen again, the entire story arc, who will be the new ring bearers? What do you think? Tell me. So to wrap it all up nicely, I read Earth 1. Where is it? Earth 1. This one takes place in an alternative universe where Hal is ex-NASA. He works with a team, and this team finds the Green Lantern ring. What's also very interesting is that you don't really have to earn it or be fearless to be a Green Lantern. When you have the ring, you just have it. It's yours. Of course, he has a lot of shame from his past of working in NASA and not speaking up. And with that shame, he learns from his mistakes from the past and rises up as the new Green Lantern, inspiring many along the way. I have misjudged Green Lantern and myself. I have always thought of myself a fan seeing street heroes. Oh, how the tables have turned. I mean, a big effect definitely did have Geoff Johns with his incredible work. His influence is undeniable. What he's done with the brand, really given it a new life. All praise to him. But I have learned that you don't have to be fearless. All you have to be is willing to look fear in the eye and overcome it. Hashtag stay safe from parallax. But I gotta say, I do have a better grasp on who Hal Jordan is than Jon Stewart's. I did try to read Mosaic, but it just kind of turned out to be more... It's a bit too absurd for me, I think, at the moment. I think what I did is good, but I will definitely go back and read more. He was in the story, but he wasn't like an active participant sometimes. Even Guy had more character, and I'm not saying that because we are twins. And finally, the first episode of Lanterns dropped today, and I have watched it. Quick thoughts. Lanterns moves away from the space opera aspect and focuses on a small town murder mystery. Hal is a bigger and older asshole in this. So maybe I think, okay, my prediction. They are adapting a little bit of the Rebirth arc with not syntax, parallax. Maybe it has a little influence on him and how he treats John. It's really tense, but the characters are really out there and they feel real and they have all their motivations. And I think Kyle Chandler was a great choice for Hal. I'm very excited for how this series will continue. We are left on a cliffhanger. We'll check in again next week. What did you also recommend is the podcast that they have on Lanterns. Tom King was on there and he told this really interesting story on how Green Lantern Alan Scott got his name. Martin Odell created a character desperate for money in New York. And he walks into his office like, I need a job. And they're like, okay, sure, we need a new superhero. He goes back to the subway, really trying to come up with this new superhero. And that's when he sees a man waving a red lantern, telling the approaching subway car that it's okay to pass. Because sometimes, like back in the day when something was stuck or something wasn't working right, wave lanterns. And that's where he got the idea. A green light to show it's alright. A green light means all is good. And then he birthed Green Lantern. The more you know. Thank you, Tom King. So, which stories would I recommend to go into Lanterns with? I definitely have some which I was more personally interested, and it would help me to get into Lanterns as the series. But gotta be honest, you can also go into it completely blind. Like, I've seen the first episode. You're also good if you don't read anything. But here's what I would do if I wanted to do it again. First of all, I would watch Green Lantern Emerald Knights again, just to kind of get a grasp on who all the characters are and how many they are. And also Green Lantern Beware My Light, just for Jon Stewart and Sinestro. I would get myself the Green Lantern Compendium. It's great. Get it. You have so many good stories in this, you will not get bored. Of course, issue 87. Then, Green Lantern Secret Origin. For Green Lantern Sinestro Corps War, I would get the Absolute Edition. But for Blackest Night, I would get the Omnibus. Well, more specific, the 10th anniversary omnibus. I really want that. To wrap it all up, I read in total 1,729 pages, and I watched 417 minutes of Green Lantern. Whoa! Okay. Well, my Green Lantern journey definitely has not concluded. I will be continuing to follow these characters because now I've fallen in love with them and they're really interesting and their stories are great. And you are so wrong for not telling me about them beforehand. I'm thinking of doing this for other characters too, like really get immersed in the stories. You know, as a Batman fan, this is usually where I stay in my lane in Gotham, but I have widened my horizons. I am now in the galaxy. I am miles away from who I was, and I don't want to come back. If you have any recommendations for me, specifically Green Lantern stuff, drop them. Tell me about them. Also, tell me what you thought about all these books if you've read them. I think I've talked enough for today. And with that, in brightest day,
in blackest night,
let those who worship evil smite. Beware my power. Green Lantern's light! Okay, thank you so much for watching. You can also catch me on Instagram. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!